Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead, and we want to kind of walk you around the yard real fast, give you a little bit of updates, see how things are growing, show you some things we're doing for our fall garden. It's unfortunate, but it is about that time. So we got to kind of get some things ripped out, pulled out, harvested, get what we've gotten, what we're going to get off of it, and we're going to have to move along because we need to get some other things planted that's going to be more productive later into the season. First, we're going to show you a little bit of what's going on back here. We got some basil that we planted some time ago. We did a video on that. Basil and cilantro. Cilantro has been harvested some, so that's why it looks raggedy. Angela used it in the sauce salsa that we just made. And here's some more basil. It all looks really good. And the lettuce that we planted at the same time is looking really well. Don't know if it's bitter or not. We haven't tasted any of it yet. Again, the rabbit's got a lot of this, so the green's sparse. The red leaf is a little better. Okay, so it's a lot better. But so it's looking good. Again, you may have heard me sing the praises of these beans before. Last year, year before that, we've grown these beans. It was a borlato bean that we gotten from Baker Creek. Baker Creek did not carry that particular borlato bean this year, so we found, I guess, a suitable replacement. The closest thing we could figure out. Johnny Seeds has something called flambeau bean, and they're shell beans. Okay, so we love them. They're delicious, big, fat, meaty. At least the borlato beans were. These look just like them. Hopefully they're similar at least, and they're beautiful. So here we have them planted back here. Let's show you what we got. These, see, so they start out green like a regular bean, and then they mature into this color. And they're beautiful. See, the sun makes them this color here, and they're delicious. Very, very tasty. Just a glorious addition to anything that you're wanting to use dry beans in or shelled beans in. We just shell them out as we get them and freeze them. They really don't have to be dry. We just freeze them and keep adding to the bag as we get more. And so we get a nice harvest of them every year. You want to see the chickens? Here's some of the new girls. There's some of the new girls there. See, those three. That's Naomi in the front, Heidi next to her, and Ruth behind her. They're beautiful. They're looking good. And Munchkin, Tootie. They're heading towards molt. Some of these girls are heading towards molt. You see, they're looking a little raggedy. It's just that time of year. They're kind of wore out. They've used a lot of their protein to lay eggs. And so protein also helps grow feathers. So if the feathers are a little worn, they've laid a lot of eggs this year, and some of them are just old. So they're slowing down. They're wearing out for the year. But hey, they deserve a break, right? Here's another dry bean or shell bean that we do. It's called a golden Jacob's cattle. We've harvested some of those this year already, and if we can manage it, we might get a picture of them up, right, maybe right here over my shoulder. Maybe, and but we'll have a picture of those if we got a good picture. I'm not sure we did or not. We've harvested quite a bit of stuff already we haven't showed you. But here, they just grow like a green bean, then they get dry. Nothing special as far as, like, they're not like the flambeaus that get all different colors. So they dry up, and then you just shell them out. You know, just shell them out, and it's no big deal. Very simple, and we've had the Jacob's cattle, regular Jacob's cattle beans before. They're maroon colored. These are golden. So hey, they're kind of yellowish, right? Go figure. And so they're exciting. I know the regular Jacob's cattle are great, so we couldn't find those, but we got those. So hopefully they're just as good. All right, here's one of the green stalks. We planted some sweet potatoes and some golden honeymoon melons in. As you can see, something has ate on some of these leaves, but they're growing well. It's a very strong vine. Very strong vine down in there. This is the golden honeymoon melon right here. And we got one of those growing in there. It was kind of hiding from us. So that's one of the things that may have suffered a little bit while we weren't feeling good. We just, things happened, things went awry, and so we had a plumbing issue. Then we didn't feel good. We got a ton of rain right around that same time. Peaches came in. We had to deal with them on the heels of not feeling really well. Septic tank issue. Had to dig it out. So we had a lot of things going on there that took our time from watering and harvesting. So it stinks, but life happens sometimes. And that's happened. That's just real, that's real life. So some things did not do as well. So I'm gonna spin this around here and I'm gonna show you this jungle. We have some sweet potatoes back there in a grow bag, sweet potatoes here in a grow bag. All this back here is white Dixie butter peas. Okay, one of our favorite things to grow. And you see how prolific of a producer they are. Just unreal. Massive amounts of butter peas that are being set. It's a crazy amount of blossoms. They're crazy producers, and they're delicious. They're not used enough. I think they're starting to get a resurgence. People in the deep south use them, I know. We are not in the deep south. We are in Southwest Ohio. For some of y'all, if you're watching this and not sure where we're at, we're in Southwest Ohio. Okay, so it's not extraordinarily cold all the time. It's not extraordinarily hot all the time. We do get extremities on both sides. But the white Dixie butter peas are doing great. They like hot, dry weather, apparently. And they're doing fantastic, and they are delicious and a great addition to anybody's garden. If you're looking for an easy, heavy producer that stores really well, I suggest white Dixie butter peas. We do have a couple watermelons here. The plants are here. They vined out everywhere, making it impossible to get in there and do much. There's no watermelons on them yet, but those are black diamond watermelons. Hopefully they'll produce. Actually, I see a female blossom right here. So let's see. Here's a female blossom. Okay, see, it's got the melon on it here. The blossom was here. It's dried up. Presumably I presume that it blossomed today and got pollinated. Okay, that's typically what that's going to look like, I believe. We have a couple watermelons up here. We'll show you of them, of this same kind in our 6x6 raised bed. But I do want to show you this right here, right behind this camera. It's a rosemary bush. At this point, we'll call it a bush. It's a rosemary plant that we planted last year back here, and it overwintered really well. It's an evergreen, so it overwintered. It handled the winter. We mulched it heavy with chicken bedding, so I think that may have helped. And it's insane. It's grown so much this year. I hope it overwinters again. We're gonna do everything we can to keep it going. We love using fresh rosemary. It is heads and shoulders better than using dried rosemary, and we love it. And Angela's got a rosemary recipe. I can't tell you what it is because I want her to surprise you with it. It uses fresh rosemary, and it's one of the most delicious things I've ever ate. And I'm gonna sucker her in to making it, doing a video for you guys so you can see it, but also I really do want to eat it too. So so that will be coming up, okay? And as I was talking, I just seen we actually do have a black diamond watermelon right here below me. See, you can tell it's been sitting around in the weeds and getting wet, because you can see how the bottom of it looks. It's just because it's been sitting around, but there it is, young. This is a double cropping variety of raspberry called Crimson Night. Double cropping means it sets 2 crops, one early summer, one late summer into fall. It is in the process of setting its second crop, and it's going to be a heavy producer. The first round went mostly to the ants. Ants got in there and wreaked havoc. This one, I'm hoping, goes better, because there's an amazing amount of berries in there to be had, or it's growing and still growing, still forming. So hopefully they do well. We did, if you've seen earlier in the year, we had some apples growing. We had 3 apple trees, or columnar apple trees. We had them in the ground, and we've never had apples on them. We didn't know what to expect. They're 5 years old, I think, at this point. So when a couple of them started setting blossoms, we were extraordinarily happy. We thought, okay, we're gonna have some apples. We did have apples. We do not know how to grow apples. Okay, this is a learning process. This is part of what I was talking about. If you see my devotional about big God-sized dreams, and still learning and still preparing and still being prepared and equipped by God to do things, this is part of what I'm talking about. And I know that. And it's growing apples, growing fruit in general, fruit trees. But we're learning. And so I'm gonna turn around here and show you this apple tree. It looks great. It's grown a lot this year. You can see here's fresh growth right here just in the last couple of days. It's grown fresh growth. And up here you might see one apple. Okay, one little bitty apple. It had a bunch of apples on it, thousands of blossoms it seemed like, and a lot of them produced small apples like this. Okay, we probably hindsight's 2020, right? Thank God 2020 is in hindsight, but we probably should have pulled most of those, if not all those all those blossoms off, or all the apples off, I guess I should say, because it couldn't produce them. It wasn't ready for that. It wasn't mature enough. Same as we have trouble producing good fruit until we're really mature. So does that. And so it wasn't ready to produce that much fruit. It hadn't been equipped. It hadn't grown enough, correct? So hindsight, we should have pulled more of those off. And also, if we want to grow fruit organically, at least these apples organically, we should do something to keep moths from setting their eggs or whatever it is, so the worms get in there, because there's some holes in a lot of the fruit that was set on those, and on our apple trees that were in the muck buckets that we planted last year. So again, we're learning on that, and we are learning, so that's still something positive come out of that. Here's my favorite green bean of all time. It is the most delicious green bean you'll ever eat in your life. It has not set any beans yet. Well, that's a lie. There's a little bitty one right there, little bitty one. But this is the North Carolina long greasy. It produces well, and it's a pole. It's like a huge old-fashioned pole bean, so like it'll run forever. As you can see, it's just gonna, it would go 10 feet if you let it. But they're the most delicious bean ever. But because it is an old-fashioned pole, it's a late producer, so it also took on a ton of water. This section of the yard holds the water. It's where the water runoff is designed to go. So the water runs down here, and if you get, we'll say 2 inches of rain in an hour, like we were getting several times in that time period, then the water's just holding in here. So it really hurt them, but it came out of it. It really slowed them down, but they're doing well. They're setting a lot of blossoms now, greening up real nice, and we're gonna have plenty of those North Carolina long greasies to enjoy this winter. Here's a larger black diamond watermelon in this bed. See, it's a larger one. Don't know, it ain't quite ready. They say the stem's supposed to dry up on them, so we'll wait and see. Here's a smaller one. Don't know if it's gonna get much bigger or not. And here's another one right here in the middle of this mess. One thing I would tell you is that when you're creating raised beds, and you're creating a section for raised beds or what in your yard, think about how you're going to mow and what you're putting in there, and is it going to vine out and keep you from mowing, because that's what's happened here. It's a disaster, and I keep wanting to weed eat it all down and put wood chips all over it, but that doesn't happen because it takes time. So just think about that, because it creates a mess in your yard and really frustrates you if you let it go too far. Here's a strawberry watermelon. So these are strawberry watermelons. I don't know how big it's going to get. They're supposed to get bigger than that. We have another one there that's about the same size. But what happens with any fruit, well, I shouldn't say fruit necessarily, but with any plant and fruit producing plant, watermelons, peppers, tomatoes, you know, those I have experience with, and experience in small spaces with them. If you put them in a spot where their roots are limited and they're contained, whether or not you're putting tomatoes or peppers in a container or watermelons in a shallow bed, like this shallow bed, it's only 6 inches deep at best. When their roots are limited to the space, they don't produce fruit as large as they could. Okay, if you put tomatoes and peppers in a small container, you're going to get small fruit. I've seen somebody recently complaining about a pepper, and it's not, well, they're not very big. Well, they had them in a small container. It's going to happen. Okay, just telling you, if you have a small container, your peppers, tomatoes, watermelons in that sense are going to be smaller. They're contained. They're not allowed to grow and stretch their roots out, I guess you should say, to produce a larger fruit. Okay, so that does happen. That's what's happening to those watermelons. They're not getting as big because of that. Again, lesson learned. I should have known that. And we're going to do something different next year. I do want to show you this before I get on to my final thing here. This popcorn, this is the Dakota Blue popcorn we talked about growing our own snacks earlier in the year. I want to show you this popcorn and how well it's doing. We've never grown this particular variety of popcorn, but look at it. It's growing really well. Some of those up there are around 7 foot or so tall. And popcorn, the stalks or the ears, look at the ears, not the stalks. The ears will not get as big as a regular sweet corn ear. So they're gonna be smaller ears of corn, and you gotta let them dry so they're not even close to being ready. But there's several ears producing in here. Several. It looks really good. We're extremely happy with it. If it tastes like the strawberry popcorn or even close, it's a good grow. There's nothing like sitting at home, getting some nice popcorn, watching a movie with your spouse and just enjoying some time, or your family, and just enjoying some time together. And that makes it even better because you've grown your own popcorn. I'm gonna show you this because this is something we're proud of. At least I'm proud of because it's an effort. Right here is our compost pile. Okay, this is right here is what we use to offset some of our dirt costs and get rid of some waste. It's a large, does well, and it's a good sized pile. This past year we had about 2 dump carts full of that we used in our raised beds and some containers or grow bags across the yard. Really helped keep the cost down of buying more dirt. So that stuff, it's old dirt from other containers, it's pine shavings from the chicken coop, it's food waste, like when Angela pickled them beets last week or so. That was the peelings and tops from the beets. We had a few bananas that we didn't eat before they went too ripe. I threw them in there. Grass clippings, chicken manure, all kinds of stuff goes in there, and it really produces a nice, rich, and hopefully well-balanced compost. I know this year the things that were grown in compost did outstanding. They were great. So there's some of what's been going on. Okay, we still obviously I didn't show tomatoes, didn't show some other beans, didn't show peppers. I didn't show pink-eye purple holes, and I'll do that in another video. But they're doing amazing. Okay, pink-eye purple hole peas are doing amazing. So we've got a lot of things that are doing well. Some things have gotten messed up. That's life. But that's how things have been going here. I do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for sticking around, hanging out with us. And we do appreciate y'all a lot. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do so. You're going to get a lot more of this type of content, some gardening, a lot of cooking and canning this time of year because Angela's using what we're growing. And so thank you so much for watching. My name is Jason. This has been Art of Creation Homestead. I love you guys so much. God bless you. Goodbye.